Have you ever noticed how the way you talk changes? There's a certain way you describe your day-to-day stuff, your habits. But then when you're planning something fun, there's this totally different vibe, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to get the hang of the language for both.
This is basically life, isn't it? That constant pull between the comfort of our daily routine and the excitement of shaking things up with a new adventure. One's all about what we always do, and the other's about what we could do. And believe it or not, the words we pick to talk about them, that's what makes all the difference.
So we're going to break this down into two parts. First, we'll dive into the words for our everyday routines. Then we'll switch gears and look at how we actually make plans. All right, let's start with that daily loop. Think about it. Your routine is probably the story you tell more than any other. It's the foundation of your life, right? So getting really good at describing it isn't just handy. It's like a communication superpower. And the key to unlocking this superpower, it's actually a super simple structure. It's just I plus a verb. I wake up, I eat, I work. That's it. This is called the present simple tense, and it's basically the foundation for talking about anything you do regularly.
Okay, so most of our days follow a pretty predictable path. Kind of like this. You wake up, get ready, work, come home, you know the drill. But how do you take a list of actions and turn it into a real story? Well, it's all about a few key little words. Just listen to how someone might describe their day. I wake up, I drive, I go to bed. See that pattern? It's that powerful present simple tense we just talked about, popping up again and again. It paints a really clear picture, doesn't it?
Now, here's the trick to making it sound like a story instead of just a list. You need transition words. Think of them like the glue that holds everything together. Instead of just, I eat breakfast, I brush my teeth, you say, first, I eat breakfast. Next, I brush my teeth. See? It just flows so much better.
Okay, but routines are only half of it, right? Life would be pretty boring if we just did the same thing over and over again. We need to break out of that loop. So, what happens to our language when we decide to plan something new and fun? And that brings us perfectly to part 2, breaking free. Here, we're shifting gears from what we always do to what we want to do. This is the language of hanging out with friends, being spontaneous, having fun.
So, every great plan has to start somewhere, usually with a simple suggestion. Let's kind of walk through how a conversation like this might go. It could start with a really nice, gentle question like, shall we go to the cinema?
But, life happens. What if the timing just isn't right? Your friend might say, I can't on Saturday. Now, this is super important. This is not a no, it's just a hurdle. And being able to point out the problem is the first step to actually fixing it.
So how do you jump over that hurdle? Easy. You just offer up a new idea. What about Sunday? It seems so simple, but that little phrase is an amazing problem-solving tool. It keeps the whole plan from falling apart and shows you're willing to be flexible.
And boom, with a simple yes, Sunday is good, you've got a plan. Did you see what just happened? We went from an idea to a problem to a solution and then to a solid plan, all using just a few really key phrases. It's like a formula.
Okay, so we've seen a whole conversation play out. Now let's zoom in a little and really focus on the best ways to make that first suggestion.
Okay, now there's a small but really important difference between these two. Let's is direct, it's confident. It's like you're saying, come on, this is what we're doing. You're kind of assuming they're in. But shall we is a bit more polite, it's more of a question, checking to see if they're into the idea. Both are fantastic tools, you just use them in slightly different ways.
And here it is, your essential planning toolkit all in one spot. You've got phrases to kick things off, phrases to ask for the details like when and where, and phrases to lock in the final plan. Seriously, with just these on hand, you can organize pretty much anything you want.
All right, let's pull all this back together. We've looked at two totally different sides of how we talk about our lives, right? The language for the things we do every day and the language for the spontaneous, fun stuff. And both are absolutely essential parts of your story.
When you boil it all down, it's this simple. If you're describing a routine, your number one tool is the present simple tense. I eat breakfast. If you're trying to make a new plan, you kick it off with let's or shall we. That's it. 2 different jobs, 2 different sets of tools.
So in the end, think of it like this. Your routine is the steady rhythm of your life, that constant beat. But the plans you make, the adventures you start,
That's the melody. That's what makes life interesting. So now that you have the tools, the only real question is, what song are you going to write today?